Happy weekend to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are connecting from. I'm welcoming everyone to another session. Have you ever in your life wish you could change something? If yes, stay connected with us, stay patient, and you won't regret your time with us. So, as usual, we're going to give a few minutes of music break, and we'll start in a few minutes. No time to waste. No copyright infringement intended for the song. To Jehovah, yes, I have survived the situation. So, guys, let me know where you're watching from. To Jehovah, yes, I have survived the situation. No, 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 no. Welcoming everybody. Let's know where you're watching us from, please. Oh, no. No copyright infringement over the song. So, guys, we start in a few minutes. So, guys, as we draw, we encourage you to type in friends to share with your loved one. We are in the second half of an amazing year, and it's always good. They say the earning is always more important than how you start. If you start so well and you mess up in the last part of the year, then you may have just missed or wasted your time on the year. A better brain box. Wow, what a name. Thank you for connecting. So, in life, you have to smile, though. It's a choice, though. And I know sometimes it's hard to smile, but it's a decision that you have to make. Happy to have you around, though. So we are starting in a few minutes, guys. Just giving time because, like, Facebook always takes some time for people to receive notification when we get connected. Jehovah, but you never lose a battle. From age to age, to Jehovah, and I lost all battle. From age to age, Jehovah, for you never lost a battle. Hey, from age to age. Okay, happy weekend to everyone. How is everyone doing today? I hope we all are having a great time. Oh yes, so the question today is there anything in your life you've ever wish you could change your environment, your community, maybe if you're on social media that you wish you could change, or in life you've heard people say that you don't believe, you don't like, and you wish you could tell them to stop telling the lie. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Have you ever had an experience like that? Have you ever which indeed you could do something better? If yes, then this session is for you. If no, well, you can still stay around and maybe there's something you see get from the session. So it's your girl Lucia Benny. If you're meeting or seeing this face for the first time, aka Brightest Loop, and it's always about us shining a light in a world that has so many quenchers, demons, and we can name the rest. So yes, life each day is a blessing, and it's a privilege for us to be alive. And I know many times we take these amazing privileges for granted. We so much focus on the things we want to acquire. And so a little bit background on this discussion of today. I've been like reading a lot of things, and I just like been like this week being Independence Week, and those in America celebrating the Independence Day. So I had to go back to reflect. Like I always try, like not just to just celebrate stuff because everybody's celebrating. Let me check a little bit of history, like what's the significance of this thing, and just like Independence Day, it's just like just celebrating some amazing sacrifices of some brave people, and that just like oh my god, we all have to be brave in some way, maybe for yourself, for your family, for your community, for what you believe for. Yeah, believing that there have to be equity in some things, there have to be love, there have to be peace, there have to be togetherness, those things like that. They look like little things, but trust me, the benefits of this thing, maybe you will not be the one enjoying it. Like for those who did the marvelous work they did, the ways they went through just to make sure that there's this level of freedom people are enjoying this generation is something we can live out. And so that is why I just said the topic as for those who saw it, it's to remind us that there are some things that we have to do, and we always assume that some things are for free. And first of all, even peace is not for free. You have to make a choice. You have to. There's some things that to have your peace of mind. There are some friends that you have to cut off, and it's a price to pay because maybe there are some things you still like from those friends. For you to grow, for you to achieve growth in different aspects. By the way, depending on what your priorities are, depending on what your goals are, depending on what you're focusing on at each moment, you have different meaning for the same thing. So we can talk about goals, and when you think about goals, now it's totally different from what I'm thinking where I am. But that is part of life. So we all definitely have to sometimes pay the price. And I know. Sometimes you feel like someone else should do it. Someone else have to do it. I just reminded myself this week that there are a lot of things that I am just the person who have to do it for myself and for those who depend on me. I just realized like there's some things that you can assume that this one you don't really need to think about it, but it's going to be looking at you. So it's just like the same thing, like looking at the growth we have achieved, like where we are in this generation growth, mostly and amazingly with tech. With tech, guys, it's something that I don't know how many of us have tried to look back the days where we have just the analog or not even analog stuff. We just have some primitive stuff going on, like you wanting to talk to someone, you have to travel, maybe then meet the person. Now you have phones, not just phones, but you have softwares that you just need to download them and you can make call, make video calls, see the person's face, and have meetings. It looks like, oh my god. So that is something that we enjoy today, but someone paid that price, right? Someone had to pay the price to make sure that this communication is not as hard. How can I want to talk to my friend who is in UK and I have to go to right to UK? I have to wait for me to get to UK or write later and wait till when the letter gets to UK. Is there a possibility that I can come out with something that I can sit at home and call my friends or my family anywhere they are? So someone paid that price. Now, yeah, I don't need to work for money. I have to enjoy my life. I have to do this. Yes, the people who are in that level because someone once paid that price, right? So whatever we reach as human beings, sometimes you are the one to pay the price. Yes, if you can see it, I mean, maybe there's something you can do. So, guys, let me ask everybody connected. If you have the opportunity to choose between complaining about something your entire life and giving the powers and the grace needed to solve that problem or and come out with a solution for that thing, which one will you choose? Will you choose to complain about that thing your entire life or have the powers and grace to solve that problem your entire life? So which one will you choose? Guys, let me know in the comment section. Like, yeah, if you have that choice, like choose between complaining about this thing you don't like your entire life or being in the position of solving the problem your entire life. Which position would you like to stand? Complaining or solving? So personally, that is one question I ask myself every day. Yeah, there are so many things that I see that I don't like, but the question is, do I want to be on the line of those complaining? Or do I want to be on the line of those at least trying to do 1% of being part of the solution? Of course, some of the things you will not solve it all alone, but you're 1% and another person 1%, other people's 1%, we definitely give a 100%. So a lot of times, we sometimes don't realize that we complain too much. And that is one thing that I think we all can definitely get from today's session. Like the same energy we use to complain is that same energy we can be using to look what we can do about the situation. If you have time and energy to complain about it, then trust me, you have enough time to be part of the solution. You have enough time to come out with a possible solution. So the same energy we use daily to complain about some things are the same energy, or is the same energy we can definitely use to work on something better. And I know also this time we are in the second half of the year, and you may be in the position, so I've been working on this solution, but it's not coming out. When shall this be over? This person got it in 1 day, this person got it in 2 days. Wow. That's one of the problem I think I'm on. That's one of the things that keep me amazingly on social media because I'm one of those that I've had people talk to me a lot of time. Like some things I personally know I really struggle to have, and someone say, "Oh, you're lucky. This just happened. This person just did it easy for you." And I don't know how many of us know how that is annoying. Like maybe something you've worked so hard and you failed maybe 10 times. Somebody's just like, it's because you're lucky and this just one like that. I personally don't believe so much like luck. I believe in grace. I believe like yes, we all have different grace in different things, and yes, of course, God chooses who He wants for every particular task. That's very important to say. So, but also I want to emphasize that the fact that we see results, it doesn't mean the time you see the results is when the work was being done. Sometimes the results come 5 years after the result was done, the work was actually done. So like there's this law in physics I like so much that talks about the product, like what is work done actually. So from that you understand that without distant move, there's no work done. So sometimes the work is effectively done, but because there's no distant move, there's no result observed, you feel like you've not done any work. Have any of us been in that position? Like you've been doing some things, but because you are not seeing any result, you feel like you've not been doing anything at all. That is part of the process. That is obviously part of the process. So yes, there's a time you plant a seed. When you plant, for those who have been around farming areas or those who have you've ever in your life taken a seed and planted into the soil. When you plant that seed and you go home, you come the next day, maybe you're weeding or you're watering or the next week, whatever. When you're watching that plant or that seed you planted, do you go back and dig first to confirm that the seed is there before you continue watering, or you assume sometimes that the seed is there and you just keep continue nurturing and doing the necessary things you need to that seed um have some evidence, which maybe shows leaves, some things you see above the soil now because the seed is beneath the soil. So if you want to, you may have to dip your hand back into the soil to see, hey, is my seed actually there? But of course, most people will tell you that when you farm, you don't do that. You don't go back and check all the seeds or put your hand into the soil to check if what are planted is there. True or true? Yeah, that's just to say you believe that because you planted it's there, and you know that after you plant you have to do this next thing that involve watering, involve weeding, involves taking care of every other thing, pruning and things that come till you have the fruit you expect. So but I also have realized a lot of times we as humans, we sometimes ignore these steps, or we assume because sometimes you also get it easy. Sometimes you just plant and oh my god, you planted today and rain falls tomorrow. And in no time, you already have evidence to show your shoot is there. Sometimes you plant and rain takes days to fall. And you don't have like any evidence to say, oh, you planted something. So there are those different seasons and those different times. But whatever we can change, we because there are some things also we importantly in life. Step one in life every day is to understand your journey, to know where you are. And step two is always understanding what you have to do each day. Where are you in your journey and what do you have to do each day is one of the things that I try to remind myself and each person, because we are in different journeys. Sometimes some in life all the time, in life is all the time you must always have some people that are ahead of you, some people that are beneath you. What you do with this set of people really determine who you are. So for me as a for example, as a Christian, the way I identify true Christians is just basically the way they treat these two set of people, those above and those beneath. If you celebrate so much the one below, above, and you neglect the one beneath, the ones that you're supposed to lift, then there's a question mark. So if you have people that are on the same journey with you, there are some people that are depending on your light beyond. There's some people that you too definitely depend on their light ahead of you. So each day we always have that responsibility not to just get up and move, but get up and check again, where am I and what am I supposed to do? Which I know is something a lot of us often don't do. A lot of us take for granted, and at some point we become so anxious with what we want to do or what we are doing and what we expect to have. So yes, we are definitely have work to do. We have work to do, and the difference between a domestic animal or one difference between a domestic animal and a wild animal is that the wild animal knows that each day I get up, I have to look for something for myself. And the domestic animals know that someone has to look for something for me. So personally, I think those who have great mindsets, those who get up each day and focus on their purpose and are creative in their lives, are those who think like why animals. How many of us agree? Like why animals means they get up, they know they have to look for what they're supposed to do each day. They know they're supposed to get up and do the work and do some work, as opposed to they have to get up and look who is not doing what they want to do. So I believe every purpose-driven individual gets up each day with a new task. That is just the simple truth. Every person who is purposely driven, who have an assignment on earth and knows their assignment, gets up each day with a new task. And sometimes the tax is not totally new. Sometimes the tax is just having new demands. It's not something like you're just starting, but you have a new demand. So each day we get up, we have something we have to be doing. So there's not never a time that you feel like, oh, you've done it all. And so, by the way, if I did say at the beginning, this session is not going to be a long one. It's going to be as brief as possible. Yeah, it's going to be as brief as possible for because I have some other stuff to catch up with. I know I've really been inconsistent lately, but we're going to catch up with time. So yes, as humans, we will always act based on the available informations we have and based on our priorities. So yeah, whatever we have in our mindset and whatever action we take, how we take it, is really, really dependent on the information available. So one thing we want to definitely do is something I always remind myself is always to consider to keep learning, keep learning, and accept the fact that we are always works in progress. You don't know it all. You don't know it all, and if you accept and you know that you don't know it all, it will be so easy and very easy for you to learn new things. It's also easy for you to forgive yourself when you make mistake. It's also very easy for you to grow because growth comes with changes. And there are some things that personally I believe everything is an opportunity. Even the ones that you can say, oh, this is a bad day, this is a bad time, which is what I always like. These are the most important moments, though. There are moments you don't expect, but the moments that really teaches us. Like for example, if you want to know your true friends, you have to check those people that have been there in all the seasons. So if you don't have those difficult seasons, how do you know who have been there in all the seasons if you have just one season, favorable condition? So that's why there's always summer, there's winter, things like that. Like moment where things are very hot, moments where things are cold, depending on where you find yourself, and different places have different weather conditions for that divine reason too. So everything that just to say everything also go in terms of agriculture, they will always tell that the nutritional content of every plant or the composition of every plant is dependent on the weather, the soil, and those other environmental factors in that environment or place where that plant was cultivated. So that's the same for you and I. Whatever weather conditions in which you are, the good, the bad, are important because those are what help to reshape and enhance and build us to be better people each day and to be able to do the things and also to be structured in a way that suit a specific work because each day guys you have, as I said, the tax may not be totally new but it may be like a different um, level or different requirements, which I think a lot of time people don't pay attention to that. Like, guys, how many of us have noticed that the older we are getting, like we are doing different work, or the amount of work we have to do is increasing? Which personally I didn't see this. Like, I was like still a kid. I'm like, oh, the older you get, the more you just relax. But you see that yourself starting to reduce your sleeping hours without nobody telling you. You see yourself having to do like multitask without nobody telling you, like nobody even forcing you. But that is just part of the journey. Like, for we to enjoy, for us to really enjoy all the process, it's just accepting that fact that change is what brings growth. And if we want to grow, we have to be able to grow. So by the way, guys, let's know, I like to always know those connected, and I like to always know we are as a family. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe or follow depending where you're watching, so that you don't miss any episode. And of course, we are always here to, it's a journey. I believe so much in teamwork. I believe if all of us as human beings do what we're supposed to do, we will never reach a level that will have people who lack the basic things of life, food, shelter. But because we as humans will always do as we think, we always do as we feel, we always do based on what we want. So it's just a reality, which is something a friend was just discussing with me lately. Thank you so much, bro, for joining. Happy to have you. So yeah, guys, let's keep the comment section using. So a friend was just reminding me that, no, he not even reminded me. He told me like, "Hey, as Christians, do you know we are not supposed to borrow?" And I didn't have any answer at the moment. I had to go and read. Okay, give me your all your quotations as Christian that we are not supposed to borrow. And yeah, I read, and I understand. I said, I totally agree with you. We are not supposed to borrow if we do what we are supposed to do. But if you see people living on debts, mortgages, it's because we are already in a situation that we have not done the things we're supposed to do. Our ancestors did not do also the things they're supposed to do, and we are carrying it. So where we are more in the damage and repair repair position, not that original plan. So how do we get back to the original plan? It's one of the reasons I'm like, we cannot just sit and fold our arms and look at things and complain about them. You have a role, I have a role, to see just one thing that you can work on, one thing you can do to improve. And one thing definitely, with that being said, is the importance of us reminding ourselves that we are one family. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you come from, but one instrument that we have used to destroy ourselves and our economies and stuff is division. Is division. Yes, of course. We have different skin colors, we have different opinions, we have different religion, which is okay. But if we come together as one and still love and agree that, yeah, irrespective of that, we are still one people, one God, one nation, one family, a lot of things will be easier. But everybody is in survival of the fittest mood. And that, at the end of the day, is one of the things I say, oh, personally, I won't complain about, but I will do my best to see 1 inch of either of thing I can do to make sure at least we are aware that we are making things difficult. And that is to talk about some basics, mindset. Because at the end of the day, whatever actions we take, as I always say, is dependent on the way we think. Is dependent on the way we think. So we all have that responsibility each day to pick up the lessons, to be one and each other's pupil, which is something that most in this time we pretend a lot we are not. We act a lot as if we are, but we are not. This time where in everything, even people can even sell of your good friendship just to cash out. So it's more even dangerous for people to say, okay, this one got my bag. So, but you can make a difference instead of complaining. You can make a clear difference in that. So we all definitely have a lot of work to do. hmm And in the second half of this year, I know Many times we are like, God bless us, God answer my prayer, God do this, God do more. I personally, of course, being ambitious, you always have more things you want. You always have things that are even shorter, it's sometimes bigger than your imaginations. But God has a way of humbling us to say, you take a step at a time and be anxious for nothing. Things like that, just like ways of telling you that, hey, you get it? It's my timing. It's not your timing. You can't pressure me. And I wouldn't agree for anybody. Just as us with that, I said that I wouldn't agree for anybody. Same God said, hey, you can't pressure me anyhow. So sometimes we get to this position, we feel like, oh, why is this slow? Why is this not going? But I just want to encourage us that we should also think of what are we supposed to be doing in this season, and also be really grateful for the ones who've achieved. That is very important, because sometimes ingratitude, like us just always wanting more and not even being grateful, appreciative of the little ones we have or the ones we have so far, it's it's what may hinder some of us from really celebrating that which was initially promised to us. Just like and mom murmuring and complaining is one of that thing, and that's why this particular topic for me is very important, because one thing I've learned that the more we choose to complain, the more we break our own spirit. It's not like somebody makes you go make life no. The more we murmur, the more we break first our spirit, the more we discourage ourselves, the more we see more of problems, and the less we see we have clarity in where we are going. But if rather we choose of, okay, what is going right, what is not going right, what can I do, what do I have to do now? Because sometimes some things you can do, but at the moment it's not possible. But there are some things you can do at the moment. So be open in that space, and knowing that sometimes you're the only one who have to go through that process, which is something is very important to emphasize today. Because sometimes we murmur because we grumble because we assume some people have to do it for us. Yes, of course, some of the things we celebrate, some people did it from us. Of course, some of those things we are struggling at, some people are lucky that they are, or they are blessed to have some people that had done it, had the grace. It's okay, they don't need to go through that, but they have their own life they're going through that you may not also want to walk through. So that is just life. Life, God, God has His own way of blessing people. Sometimes people are benefiting from this. The like what their ancestors is like. For example, if you look the Bible, Solomon just benefited from the work his dad did, the sacrifices, the faith, the journey, the patience of his dad. So there are some things that we may benefit from the prayers of our parents, from the work our parents did, from the work some family people did years ago, and we are benefiting from it. But that does not stop you from doing your own work specifically that God wants you to do. So yes, we all have something we can do. Everybody, if you are breathing, I mean everybody, no matter where you find yourself, there's something that if God keeps you to be breathing, there's something that only you can do, and there's something that if you don't do, it may not change. So yes, many times we want things to change, but we're not ready to go through the process. We want so many things to change so badly, but we are not ready to do the work. We are not ready to go through the fire. So, and maybe someone are waiting like, let Lucy be the one to do it. Let her be the one to talk about it. So you can also see like this even start with little things. Sometimes you can be in an environment where people are discriminating, and because yes, you are being, if you talk about it, you not have your salaries, you not have your money, and you sit there, and that continues, and that becomes a norm. Of course, because you sat there and you didn't do anything, maybe you were in a position to do something to make it better for those coming after you. Like you didn't do anything, you just sat because, of course, your salary and other things will not pass. People will not like you. People will be mad at you. So your comfort, you choose your comfort, and generation suffer. As well as that same positions where someone like, oh, this cannot continue. peace cannot continue and the person decide to do something better. Maybe look for a way to talk about it or look for a way to make the person identify that hey, what you're doing, other people identify that because sometimes talking about these things we have to do, it's not always like sometimes so big things as we may think it. It's not so always in relation to our job or our career, no, or our family. Sometimes not even related to your children, for those who have children, or your husband, or your spouse. No, it's sometimes just the little things like you are in a church, for example, and you have Christians that are always being maltreated, and you are the position that you have a voice that can be heard. And that voice, maybe you can just look for a way to talk to the person maltreating this other Christian to say, oh, do you know that God will not be happy? Or what do you think about it? But many times you're like, let me mind my business. Then in the back you're complaining, I don't like the way this girl talk to people. I don't like the way she. But you've never and ever spoken to the girl. You've never ever spoken to the guy. You've never ever spoken to the pastor. You've never ever, or you just come and start. Like now in this generation, one thing people do is putting on the cameras and just start talking. So also, added to the fact that this is Independence Week, or we had the Independence Day this week, one thing that really caught my attention is going back to look at the time of King David. You know, David was a man after God's heart, right? I think we all know that, right? So, but we all know that David at some point had to even kill somebody to take the wife. Not because he didn't have a wife, oh. It's because as humans we always want more. The person you are admiring that have these that you want, the person is admiring the small one you have. That is not like this. So when I always get to that story, it makes me to laugh a lot. So now what I picked from that story this particular week was the fact that David didn't even know how bad what he did was. And that's why I say to all of us connected, that's something. Sometimes you are doing something and may not know how bad it is, and also someone the one you may be doing something and the person may not know how bad that thing is, and the freedom you have to do so that thing does not repeat itself. Maybe that person had done it to one person and may continue doing it to other people without identifying that what he did was wrong. So David, being the man's after God's heart, made him to have that privilege that when he did something wrong, God made him identify. That's something a lot of people don't know. Like for me personally, I believe if somebody truly likes you, loves you, the person will always look for a way to tell you what you did wrong, even when you don't like it. Which is why I know a lot of us don't like it. We don't like the truth. The truth really hurts, right? Happy weekend, everybody. As you guys in the comment section. So the truth really, really hurts. Many of us are comfortable with the lies. Oh, listen, you're looking good, even when you know you may not be looking that good. Maybe there's something on your head that have to be removed better because the person is like, I would like to her. Some people are like, listen, you look good, and even like that. But this week, I have been so challenged more than ever before to really encourage each and every one of us that sometimes the things we say, oh, let me just sit quiet, let me just mind my business, is a reason that some people will keep doing some bad things that we could help and free somebody from the consequences of that. Imagine David killing somebody to take the wife and not knowing how bad it was. See, when God had to send this amazing prophet Nathan. I know it's scripture and some people like, oh, Bible, Bible, but for me, that is one of the book I really learned from. So if you know me, you know. I read a lot of other books, but that is one of the books that really, these are people. They were not people that live in another space. They live in the same planet like us. When we call King David, yes, he lived years before us. He could be my grandfather. Maybe I call my grandfather. Most people don't know him. So, so let me call this David that many people can relate to. So yeah, so David, and of course, it's very relatable. It's very relatable to many of us if we are very realistic. We see that there's some things that you've done and somebody will not like this and thing that is negative. Like for example, So let's first of all, before the example, let's talk about David. So thank you for connecting from Nigeria. So David did something, killed somebody, and I just realized that that man was so too loyal. And I was like, is it because he was so loyal to David that David had the opportunity? Imagine that that man had his death sentence in his hand. David wrote it to him. The man was like, "Oh, I cannot go and sleep in my house because this my people are going to war and I have to be in the battlefield. So that's why I could not sleep at peace in my house." So came to David's house. It's not like David went to his house and looked for it. That man was so loyal. Came to David to like was in service after David has done his bananas. So I'm like, first you didn't know David cheated on your wife or whatever. So I had so many questions, and that's why I said the story is one of the stories that is like comedy for me. So, but with all these things happen, this person being in David's house, David even took the note and gave it to this man to go and give it to this other guy, Joab, to tell him that, hey, put this you are a guy or a man in the fierce, in fact, the fiercest part of the war, so that they will kill him. That was the plan, and he carried that letter and gave it to me. And after David successfully got what he wanted, he didn't have any remorse. He didn't really feel like what he did was bad. So because God really loved him, he could not just leave this guy just continue with his bananas, with his lust, with his madness, thinking that he has it all because he's the king, blah, he's blah. So God sent this amazing Nathan man, and Nathan is was like so amazing. So of course, Prophet Nathan was like, he came to him, he had to put him in a situation, not for him to even think he was the one. It was like, imagine there was this rich man and there was this other very poor man in the community, and the rich man had it all. The poor man had only this one small lamb. Then the rich man came and took the lamb of the poor man and did this. And David was just so angry about this rich man. Like, what type of rich man is this? So my dad was calling, I'll get to him back. So, like, what a rich man is this that will be so wicked and do this? And where I really love is when, after all the ranting of David being angry, and Nathan just say, "You are the man. You are the man." So sometimes it's not just about what to say or what not to say, which is the lesson I learned with this, is how do we say it? How do we say it? How do we do the things? Yes, this is what you want to change. This is what you don't think this person did right. How do we do it? Because I think that's where a lot of us get it wrong. And personally, that's what something that I learned, and I'm really learning each day, because there's no way you can live in this world without conflict. There's no way. There are people that, for example, when you do something, they just stop talking to you. No matter what you say, they'll never talk to you. I've had people like that. So that people also that, like me, I'm typical and an avoider, but I don't get to extreme though of like not talking to people no matter what. Even if we do what now, you talk to me, I'll say. So some people get shocked with that though. But for me, I'm an avoider in a way, like I avoid saying things I would regret. So in order for me not to say things I will regret at the moment, I just need some space. You can text, not call. So stuff like that. Those are for me that works. So you have to identify also what works for you. Like, oh, he has done this thing. You're so mad. It's your friend, and even God has told you how to say it. So that's something that I think we all. When I saw that this week, I'm like, yeah, independence. Yes, we all may want to fight for different things to change freedom, but how do we do it? That is why I said Nathan really gave a method or a strategy that a lot of us can definitely practice and use on daily things, daily stuff, daily assignments. So what did Nathan do? Nathan had to come in with a strategy. Definitely, I know the Holy Spirit gave him that direction, because there's no way he could come and tell David that, David, you know what you did is so wrong. How can you just take somebody's wife? David possibly will not even, because first of all, David may have not identified what he did was wrong. So the first thing is always to like identify, like be in that position to know, oh my God. Because now, after Nathan did what he did, for those who want to go to that scripture, that's Second Samuel chapter 12. you see that David became so remorseful, like he was just like, oh, I have sinned and God is bad. Also, something I learned from Nathan, Nathan was so gracious. He came with love. He did not come because sometimes we want to change something, but we're changing it with anger. We are changing it with jealousy. We are changing it with our own personal grudges, which is one of the things when I saw that, like, yeah, he was so gracious because after that they were like, oh, I have sinned and God will do this, God punish me, God. He said, no, God has, so he came, God has really forgiven you because you are his own, blah blah blah. He was like that, also concerned, not just coming to condemn. So one thing we all can learn is to say, if we want to change, key thing is love. Love should be the center. It's not what you feel. It's not how you want to say it. It's not what you can say. So I ask myself deeply, like, how do we make sure that if we have to change this thing, we don't change it with anger, we don't change it with love? And that's why I say for me, that is something that intentionally, guys, I'm working on. So when we talk about work, I know a lot of time we are thinking about how do I pay a bills, mostly if you're in a country like America. Guys, your bills are not beeping. And that's another time I was checking. Like when the friends, as I said, I have friends that make me to like think things differently. And I'm so always blessed to have those people that will come and like, Lucy, you know you're not supposed to, and those are people I really never joke with. So when the friend told me first about the loan stuff, I just started reading more about loan and these mortgages because like it's something, if you notice also for those who are new, I like to talk about financial education and loan, which is something I know because there will always be poor and the rich in the society. But I believe and deeply in me, everybody should be treated with love. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, love for me is a key thing. Like everybody, even the person is educated or not, married or single, everybody needs love because at the end of the day, some people who are married now are single back. So you still have to respect and love them. Some people that way. So life is just what it is. So at the end of the day, I just believe like we all have that responsibility of taking care of each other. Because today I may be in need, oh, and you come and help me. Tomorrow you may be in need. So that's just the way God engineered it in the first place. Like, oh, today I may be the one that have done bananas, and you are Nathan. Nathan coming to me, and imagine Nathan coming to the king David and like, David, King David, you're a bad king. You're horrible. After all what God has done for you, you cannot do this, blah 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 blah. You're ungrateful. They were like, what? You get it now. You become now what King Nathan's and Prophet Nathan said versus what King David is feeling. What you said, I don't like. How can you talk to me in that manner? We've changed the direction, which I see that's a lot of the things that happen. Like a lot of times here, I see people doing amazing jobs. And personally, one thing that my grandmom told me, which I love so much, which every day helps me, is the fact that in whatever you do it well. Whatever you do it well. And what does it mean? It means if you decide that, okay, today I want to be able, or today I want to let Lucy know I don't like this banana she did. It's not just about thinking you just have to come and start yelling at Lucy. It may not go well. It may not, no matter how gracious, people may be gracious to you, but also if you do that repeatedly, there's a boundary you may put. Because at the end of the day, you may be bringing in more bitterness instead of correction. So, and in my reflection of that, I see this is the difference between, if somebody asks me is the difference between judgment and advice. Sometimes we come to advice, or sometimes we want to advise, sometimes we want to help some people identify their mistake, and we end up judging them without knowing. And the slight difference, what I've learned, one of the difference is just the intentions. So you may come with the intention of, I'm just going to tell this person what the person did is wrong. And at that moment, how you present that intention may just be making the person feel the person is bad, as opposed to making the person identify what the person did is bad through different things. Making me know I'm bad and making me know what I did is bad. So it's very important we are very intentional that if we want to really be in a position of advice, we know that there's work to do. It's so that's why I think it's not as easy as you used to think. Like I think you could just tell someone, "Oh, what you did, you're bad." But no, now I think when we keep learning to, oh, these things are not as easy as we think. So, with that story, we all can learn that amazing strategy of Nathan, and it's not just a strategy because what worked for King David may not work for another person. Another person may not still understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, yeah, Nathan understood that, oh, that person, what the person did was bad. I mean, David. But that will not be always the situation. There are some people that no matter you put it, they will not still identify. And some people will identify and will not accept. So how do you navigate those different situations? Some people will never accept that they what they did it was wrong. And some people, even if they accept, they'll never apologize. Even if if they know what they did was what they said was wrong, they are never ready to apologize. So people are different. So what do we do? That's where at the end of the day I have these two amazing things I learned. First, what I do, which I learned from Apostle Paul. And Jesus did that a lot. Jesus, for example, knew who was going to crucify him. He did not just come at his last supper and say, Judas, I know you're going to crucify me. He went back and prayed, God, if this burden is for me to carry, help me carry it. So that is the same thing for every human being, mostly for those who are Christians. I know we are living in a world that we see a lot of things, and we sometimes because people, and let me say this, yesterday somebody, I was in a conference or in a meeting last last Sunday. This is like less than 1 week ago. So yeah, because someone make it 1 week last Sunday. And one of the hosts said this, and me, I reflect a lot though. So the host like, one of the most dangerous people elements we have in this generation are financial advisors. And I'm like, really? I thought these people are all the CPAs and all these people. Because yes, I know some people consider me financial advisor. So I'm like, really? So what are the dangers? What are the mistakes we can be doing? And for me, when I have things like that, it makes me to go back to reflect on every action. So yes, and behold, the whole of this week, I've been listening to a lot of like TikTok videos. Like I just Google financial advice on different topics, and I see how people really mislead people. And it could be me too. There are sometimes that you share information based on what you know at the moment, but it's not a comprehensive information. It's not also based like I can tell you that, oh, invest every week is very important. You invest $1,000 or invest 1 million self or invest 1,000 naira, £1,000. It looks like a good strategy, and somebody who is at the moment that does not even have enough to eat is working to that amazing advice I've given. It's not a bad advice, take note, but it's not suitable for everybody. So that's just the point I'm trying to make. Like, yes, your advice you're given may be very good, but at that particular moment may not be the best for that particular person you're advising. So it's something that I've learned that for us to be in a position to correct, to change, to advise, we need to be in the position to be able to hear God. I know people like, why God? You may never know people's exact situation based on just psychology, which is what a lot of people would not accept, as I've said it. A lot of people now accept. Sometimes people look at me and like, I tell people, okay, this is it. I have this going on now. They're like, you, it cannot be you. I'm telling you my reality, and you're arguing my reality based on your physical narrow thinking. So it's just a reality that sometimes you can look, oh, this girl looks so good, this guy is everything's moving well, but you don't accept that. Yes, the way you see it moving well may not be as actually the way it's moving well, because people also deal with different things differently. You may see someone that looks so good, but you don't know the doctor just told that person that you have 2 more months to live. Some people will not just say, okay, I have 2 months more to live, let me die in the D area. Some people will say, oh, let me enjoy the rest of my days. You get it? So that's how people just, some people you see just like, I have a friend that I tell him I respect you a lot for this thing. Somebody lost like his three of the siblings back to back in like 3 months. And that guy still comes and presents. I'm like, how do you do this thing? So he just made me to understand that sometimes you really can't, just from the way people appear, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they smile, you can't really just assume that that is it all this. And sometimes also another thing I learned from last week event, one of the hosts also said is that we have to learn to hear what people are not saying while listening to what they are saying. So even me talking now, if you practice this, you will be able to live more as a family. How do you hear what I'm not saying while you're listening to what I'm saying? Because yes, even the things I'm saying, there are some things I keep to myself. Of course, I will not come here ever and say everything. Never, no one will do that. So that tells us that in this our work, in our assignments each day, we have more to do than what we always think. We have more to do. Sometimes we just want like people should change or people should change something, but we don't really sit back to identify what do people really need to change. Is it that easy the way we think it? Is it something you have to help somebody like, oh, like for example, when I wasn't in business, I'm like, oh, these business people are doing well. But when I see the work people, I'm like, really? Do you have to work like this? Necessary? Like then the mindset of the thing building and the ups and the downs. I'm like, really? Is this what these people, some people did before they got here? Like, there's this at Davido is one of the people I really just not used to follow till the time he released Unavailable. And the song, the lyrics just got my attention. Yes, it's a secular music, but the guy in question, I got to his interview, and what prompted me was just the journey he has gone through as a person and the challenges he faced and how he used music to overcome his challenges. And something can just say, oh, this person should just start getting into using his talent to sing the gospel song. If you initially, that's why we like use your talent too. Like, but now I understand, like, okay, some people just have their talent and they have different ways they have to just vent it. At some point, God is going to tell them what to do. So you can pray. So that being said, one of the strategy that I have learned to use now is praying for God to tell some people some things. God can do that. God has been doing it, and that works perfectly for me. Sometimes people are mad at you. You ask them, they say, no, nothing, nothing. You did nothing. You try everywhere, they are not talking, but they are mad. You see some changes. Guys, have you witnessed that? Because me, I witnessed that a lot. Like, what did I do? Nothing. So for me, I just like human beings are like that. Some human beings, not everybody, of course. So what do you do in situations like that? Do you stay mad also because the person is doing bananas? You start doing bananas also. So that's where avoidance stuff comes in. And in that situation, one thing I've learned for those who have situations like that and you want to really have that being resolved, pray for God to talk to the person, pray for God to intervene. And that perfectly work. And I've listened to a lot of kingdom marriages where the couples also talked about one thing that really worked, like they were going back and forth a lot in the beginning. Then maybe when they like, by the way, popular pastor, I'm not calling him though. It's like the wife always was so aggressive when she wanted to say something, and so to him that always just turned him off. So there was one time, what helped is when like told the wife, "Can you tell God to tell me?" So for those who don't know how it works, with like how is this possible? But it really works. So if you start getting in a situation or you get a problem that you want it to be solved, maybe with your friend, maybe, and you really have done your best and you see it's difficult, it's challenging. For me, even the first thing in resolution, I believe in hearing God's direction. What do God want me to say? How does He want me to do? So, in that position, sometimes you have nothing to say because there's some situation I've seen like I just told God and I see the person texting me in the morning like, oh sorry, I didn't know I did that. Or the person calling me, I'm like, blah 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 blah. Something that So that instead of me calling and just yelling and saying my bananas and cocoyams, so it's something that we mostly, for those who don't know, if you're new, I don't know how people have that energy to use the D word, like people, like I mean the F word, not the F word, and just keep ranting and going with those negative energy. So that those are some of the things that we can definitely practice. So by the way, it's been a great session and I'm ending here today. I hope we all had something. It's about an hour, right? And yes, I said today was not going to be long. So I hope we all have something to take home. And again, at the end of the day, the key message we all want to take home is someone have to pay the price. Sometimes that price of talking, you're not talking to someone, someone has to pay the price. Sometimes that price of changing the cycle, a pattern of things you've seen repeated, someone has to pay the price. Sometimes you do, people will hate you for doing the right thing, people will hate you for doing the wrong thing, but you have to understand what is your role wherever you find yourself. And life, because you choose to do the right thing, doesn't mean everything will move smoothly. No, sometimes they will even slap you. Sometimes they will slap you. Sometimes some people really you hold on to will not understand, will leave you side. So whatever you stand for, know that there is a price you have to pay, a sacrifice. And all the great heroes we celebrate are people that sometimes even sacrifice their own life. Like even if you have to take their life, this has to be corrected. Even if you have to take my house, this has to be corrected. Even if I have to go to prison, Apostle Paul, John the Baptist's head was cut off. So when you look those deep, I know a lot of time people don't want to do. People just want to stay in the juicy part. But the truth of the matter is, if you're purpose driven, the key thing is that drive. What drives people is just really that wish, that determination to want some changes, to observe some changes, or wish some things to change. And it's not like it's free. It's not free. Sometimes it takes people away from their main sources of income. Sometimes it takes people away from some people connections they really benefit from. Sometimes it takes people away from their own homes, from their own families, from their own loved ones. But you have to choose and make sure that is something that God has told you to do, because in this life it's worse to fight a fight that is not even meant you were not supposed to be in the first place. So in all, I wish everybody a blessed half of the this year. For all those born in the month of July, I wish you all a glorious and happy birthday. Please, if you're around Dallas, Texas, invite me to eat the cake. So, and again, I know there are also the side of people. Sometimes life goes on the other side, like, oh, what did I do wrong? Who do what did I offend? Sometimes you don't offend anybody. There's also sometimes the waiting season, and I think that's one of my favorite topics to talk about, because I know and I've seen personally in my life that a lot of time people don't accept the reality that there is always a waiting season, or there's sometimes a waiting season. Sometimes the waiting season is 1 minute, sometimes it's 2 years. So some people get married, they wait for 1 year, then they have their child. Some people got married one day when they didn't even expect they had their child. Some people got their child before they even got married. Some people got married and never had their child. But all of these things, the amazing part is let love lead and have that peace and know that God is always in control. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. It's your soul, it's your spirit, which I know is not a conversation that a lot of people like to focus on. Personally, after I've been in some moments that I feel like I lost everything, then I ask myself, what have I been working for? What do I need more? I had to learn it the hard way to say yes. Importantly, some of the things will come and they will go. But once you have that right mindset, you can always get up and start all over. So I just encourage for those who maybe are in those moments that you feel like, oh my God, did I have to, who did I offend? Not that you didn't, possibly you didn't offend anybody. Maybe you also did check. So, but possibly you didn't offend anybody. Sometimes you can do it all right, but God just wants you to learn some lessons, which personally, again, I believe every season is important. The planting, the harvesting, the waiting, the what, every of those seasons is important. So just be in the moment, and enjoy everything in that season and learn the lessons in the season. So while in the waiting room, it's not the fact you're waiting that's important. It's what you're doing while waiting. That's what makes you. Most of the great prophet, which is another topic, like I was reflecting yesterday, and I was some of my favorite gospel artists like Minister Sister Winans. When I check her life journey, what she went through and her family, and how she became the amazing worshiper she is. She's a worshiper, by the way. She can sing awesome, but her zone is worshiping. You see that is somebody that was broken with regards to all the physical things, mindset, but she got that spiritual peace and she learned to lean on God. And even in the good times, she knows where she has been, and you go to an amazing person. I love Pastor Nathaniel Bassi. I love any song. So all these names I mentioned, these are people that any song they release, I just not like it. If you want, like, you can always share them or update me with that. So these are people that had moments that they had no option, but they saw God showed up. So what am I trying to say? In all, make sure you have a relationship with God. That's it. At the end of the day, because in good times and bad times, yep, that's that one thing that can keep you positive through all the weather, through it on. Have a blessed weekend, amazing people. Stay blessed, and I love you all. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope we all enjoyed this session. Please do wait to send with us your remarks, your contributions, suggestions. If you have some topics you want us to talk about, please do very much free to share that with us. We are always here for those one new every Saturday. I'm trying my best to see if I can show up every Saturday, which I'm still struggling with the time. For now, yeah. I was seeing if I could shift on Friday, but for now, same time every Saturday for those in Central Time Zone. It's 12:30 p.m. For those, you can know most of us. I'm an African, so I have a lot of people from Cameroon, from Nigeria. So if you're using the West African time, it's 6:30 p.m. So at that time, just put your alarm anytime and join us. Let's vibe, let's learn, let's encourage yourself. Let's also share good times. So guys, let's also share the good things you've been learning. So in the comment section, please let me always know what you pick from each video you watch. So specifically to this one, what's the key thing you've taken from our video today? Because that is the essence that every day in the journey we should be able to add something, and we should be able to identify where we are in the journey and know that there are people who need us to put their hands, and there are people that they are both ready to put our hands, always ready to help these people and know these people is very important. So I know, of course, there are people who are in situations like they have no one, and which I've had a lot of people connecting with me through the program we have from mostly Dubai. Like people get there and they don't have everyone family member that they can really call, just to talk to express their stress. And that's why guys, I encourage us, don't be those friends that, or one of those friends that just sit and say, oh, this person is not calling me, and you are, but that this person is in a very down situation and just want someone to call genuinely just to check. So do when to always also call friends. Just those calls are important, even if sometimes the people don't call you back. If you feel in your spirit, personally, a lot of time I've called people in a situation that are like, oh my god, thank God you called. I was blah 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 blah, blah thinking this, that, that, that. So this is it. Sometimes people just want someone to talk to, nothing more. Sometimes people also want someone they can share that burden to. And I know also to carry people's headache is not easy, but sometimes that's what you have. That is the work you have to do. It's not just talking. Yeah, that is the work you have to do. So there's always work to do. Okay, guys. I hope we all again enjoy this session. And I look towards hearing and seeing people in person sometime, someday, somewhere. That's life. So, okay, stay blessed. Love you all.